Right, so you ready?
Yeah.
So here we are in Intercontinental O2 in London at the World Innovation Summit 2025. Why are you here? Tell us.
I'm here because I'm a climate scientist. I study climate change and climate change impacts and how that will change as the planet warms and how that might impact extreme weather events. So we're looking at acute weather, things like flood, drought, wildfires, and also chronic risks like heat waves and how that might impact labor productivity. So we try to understand that, and now we're trying to understand how we can use that data to help agriculture.
Well done, and we mustn't forget that you're aligned to a very special university. Can we just do an can we just do an advertorial about that university?
Yeah, so I'm a senior researcher at the University of Exeter.
Okay, and so there's so much going on in this world, and in the 2 days we've had data. We'll come on to AI, but your role is so vitally important to give us that information as to what's going to happen. Say in the world of agriculture, I've got so many farmers here who are really enjoying their time, but they want information, and there's so much information coming from them, whether it be the tech, the machinery, but it's not all joined up, especially when it comes to climate change. Mark Hall from Waterloo Farms yesterday said quite a big statement that he's seeing that he grows 20,000 tonnes of potatoes. He sees sales declining because of weight loss drugs. So the consumer.
Oh wow!
So they're moving to energy crops, but they don't know what crops to grow because they can't predict the weather.
Yeah.
So just talk us through your role within the university, so we get a bit more of an understanding.
Yeah. So I mean, there's two things. I mean, there's the weather and then there's climate. So what I do is I look at climate. I look at long-term climate change. So how extreme events mainly will change as we know the planet's warming. We know that there'll be a non-linear increase in extreme events. It'll be more severe, more frequent. Like I said, storms, floods, that sort of stuff. And we try to understand how physical assets will be exposed to those sorts of events. With agriculture industry, so far we've worked with some companies trying to understand how they might, they're globally distributed, so try to understand how they might shift which crops are grown in different regions, or try to expand to new regions that become now suitable for certain crops. So that's kind of what I look at. So how extreme events, but also crop suitability, so changing temperature and precipitation regimes and how that might impact.
Fantastic. So where I'm based in East Anglia, this last 3-4 years, they've seen such a change. And say water-intensive crops like potatoes, there's a big issue with water per se.
Yeah.
And those farmers, like the example I gave earlier, are looking to grow other crops. And also the market is changing, as we said. So do you think at some point, 3, 5, 10 years down the line, predict? Give that advice, or give that steer, or give the options.
I mean, I think we can give a steer. So we know that, like in the UK, for instance, we know that certain areas are becoming much better for grapevines, for wine, for vineyards. That's a super good example. So people from France might be, or kind of wine, viticulturists from France might be thinking about expanding to the UK, or UK operations might think about expanding. We can give that kind of information that we know general trends, but day to day or week to week or month to month. That's the weather is stochastic; it's random, so we can't predict that. We can say what sort of events will become more likely.
But would it help, and tell me if you do this already, would it help if you had farmers in the UK and other associated businesses giving you data? Because presumably the model,
I think
you've got
So generally what I use are kind of global climate models, and then what we do what's called downscaling, so that makes them into a higher resolution. That's more useful for decision useful, relevant kind of information. But data that ground truths things always useful. So if you could have that sort of data from farmers, that could be helpful.
Yeah, because I always use the Dutch example that the Dutch academia and government and business, they have this, they call it the Dutch diamond. They're very interlinked, and that's why the horticulture sector is so far advanced in other countries. Sometimes I feel we're a bit disconnected between academia, government and business. So could we, perhaps through this conversation, do a bit of joining up? Could we get you speaking at key agricultural events just to get everyone aware of what your role does and how the collaboration might work.
Yeah,
because presumably that's one of the reasons why you're at the summit today, is it?
Yeah, I mean, that could be useful. I think in general, science and outside of science needs to link up better. You had a good example of that in the Netherlands. That is done better, but I think in the UK often, not only the UK, but often science is kind of in this isolated academic realm, and those solutions that we have there do not penetrate into other parts of life, private sector, government sector, and that's actually one of the reasons I'm here. We're at the University of Exeter. We have this new kind of initiative called Green Future Solutions, which is a consulting arm of the university. You're trying to bring the world-leading environment and climate science that we do at the University of Exeter to the private sector or to governments, and try and engage with them.
And within, being a selfish question, within agriculture, is there a possibility to be involved in it?
Yeah, of course. That's why we're here, trying to figure out how we can work together, collaborate with the agricultural sector.
Okay, to wrap up, I'm going to give you a question that's going to really throw you under the bus. You have a farmer comes up to you and goes, I don't know what to do. I've got, say, 2,500 acres in the eastern regions and a bit of arable, bit of livestock. I can see my land's changing so rapidly. What should I be doing? So what would your advice be as to, not to tell them to plant X, Y, Z, but just so they can be aware as to what's going on with climate change, specifically around, because every farm is different, every country.
Every farm, not every farm in every region is,
But what would your advice be to that one farmer, and by implication lots of farmers, what would you advise them as to how to look out for the future?
I think, solely speaking from climate change perspective, because that's my expertise. So first understand so we have global climate change. We know we're about to pass 1.5. We're on the course for about 3 degrees warming by the end of the century. But try to understand how that impacts you locally, because things like warming are not homogeneous. It'll be different all over the place. So certain areas will warm quicker. So understand how that warming might happen in your area, what the implications are for precipitation are, what the implications for kind of large-scale catastrophic events might be. So are you exposed to things like increased wildfire risk or increased drought risk? And then make a plan to try to become more resilient to that. Soil health is really important in resilience. So think about how can you make your soil as healthy as possible so that it can withstand these changes, because we know they're coming. Unfortunately, we're not going to stop them. Hopefully, we'll curb it, but we know those sorts of things.
There's a great South African saying, in a crisis, make a plan. So taking your advice, make a plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. I'd love to get you more so on the circuit, because I think hearing from you and from the University of Exeter as to this huge subject, which it's almost like we're sort of slightly putting our head in the sand on it. We need to talk about it, confront it, make a plan. So thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
And just to wrap up, final question. Be very careful how you answer this. What's your favourite colour of tractor?
Green.
Oh, that's a good answer.
I just like green, so.